super emotional for women's basketball. And the first time the NCAA women's basketball final outweighed the men's. So this is historic. Do we do soul snaps?
That's soul snaps. Soul snaps.
Soul snaps.
Let's just talk about Coach Dawn Staley. She is just amazing. She's like a lovely person. Yeah, like a Hall of Fame basketball player. She has like 104 wins, 3 losses.
What fascinated me was her outside of the box thinking. There was a student who has a 5.0 GPA. In order for this student to come, she said that she needed a really strong curriculum, and they did not have an environmental engineering major for Joyce Edwards, the incoming player. And so she said that Coach Dawn Staley helped the University of South Carolina create the major and sat in with educators with the student while this was all being formed in order to make sure that her student had a holistic experience and was able to maintain that 5.0 GPA. It's unbelievable.
It's unreal. And that's how would people thrive? How would employees thrive with that mindset?
Right. That holistic mindset.
And I don't know if she's like a tough love camp, but just knowing that she would go to that extent to enhance the life of this young girl, you never know if she'll end up in basketball for life. She's like making sure she has something to fall back on and making sure that she's like fulfilling all parts of herself.
Agreed.
All you CEOs and founders and startup uppers, you think about how you treat your employees and how you motivate them.
That's just something to think about.
Welcome to Sispreneur Stories. We're a podcast created by 3 seventh-generation sister entrepreneurs. I'm Kanji Anthony.
I'm Aurora.
And I'm Janita.
Hello, Memphis. I'm Ernest Strickland, President and CEO of the Black Business Association of Memphis. In a world filled with noise, we stand firm, advocating for the prosperity of our community. As the title sponsor of Sispreneur Stories, our commitment goes beyond words. The Black Business Association has been an anchor for Memphis entrepreneurs, navigating challenges and championing resilience. Our involvement in Sispreneur Stories is a reflection of the serious work we're doing to redefine the business landscape in our city. May each episode be a catalyst for personal growth, resilience, and inspiration.
Welcome to Sispreneur Stories. We are a vlog created by 3 seventh-generation sister entrepreneurs. I'm Kanji.
I'm Aurora.
I'm Janita.
Our family's background in business, particularly our father's business, drove us to create this podcast. We believe that women are strong and capable enough to balance being bold in the workplace while nurturing our households.
Today's theme is Fearless Firestarter, igniting success with a get-it-done mindset in this electrifying podcast of Sispreneur Stories. We delve into the awe-inspiring journey of a true trailblazer. Get ready to be captivated by unshakable determination and the remarkable impact of a get-it-done mindset on the world of entrepreneurship. Get ready to embark on a journey of empowerment for those who dare to dream and take decisive action.
Time now for Meet My Sister. Today's guest, Edith Kelly-Green. With nearly 30 years at FedEx, including a historic role as the company's first Black female officer, Edith Kelly-Green's career blazed trails. In 2005, she ventured into entrepreneurship, founding the KGR Group. Starting with a single Lenny's Grill and Subs franchise, she strategically expanded, weathering economic shifts and introducing innovative concepts like Wimpy's Burgers and fries. Ooh, they're so good. And so are Lenny's. I love Lenny's.
And I love Wimpy.
We literally, that's our store. Okay, sorry. Under her guidance, the KGR Group's annual revenue surged from $500,000 to an impressive $7 million. Hello. Okay, beyond financial success, Edith's ventures created jobs, propelled education, and invigorated the Memphis community. Her influence extended further, shaping boards and organizations from Sanderson Farms to the Women's Foundation of Memphis. A 30-year breast cancer survivor, Edith's resilience fuels her belief that giving back is a responsibility. Her inspiring journey exemplifies the transformative power of entrepreneurship, forging positive change on multiple fronts. Welcome, the Edith Kelly-Green. Hi, Edith.
Hello.
Hi, Edith.
Hi, Edith.
We're excited to have you here today.
Thank you.
All right, so tell us how you became a Sispreneur.
Well, you mentioned that I spent almost 30 years at FedEx. And bear in mind, while we think of FedEx as this hundreds of billion-dollar company now, at one point it was kind of someone's entrepreneurial initiative. And I was at FedEx when the company was much smaller. It was not a public company. We flew little Falcon planes. We worked on lean-tos and cubes that were broken down, more or less. So I guess I got that entrepreneurial spirit there. So I had 30 years of that. And throughout my career there, we were forging new products, launching new products, a few failures, but for the most part, very successful. Bear in mind, the company didn't start out being a billion-dollar company. It started out being a lot smaller. So I saw that company grow, and that's the mindset I think that most people had at FedEx is, hey, we're going to get bigger and better. We're doing things that have never been done before. It was an idea that had never been done before. It was an idea that most people poo-pooed on. So I had a little bit of that background. And then if I went back even further, I grew up with my grandmother in Oxford, Mississippi, just she and I. My grandmother, Oxford is where Ole Miss is located. My grandmother used to wash shirts for the guys on campus and, maybe get 10 cents a shirt, but at that time, 10 cents added up. And she was hand washing them on a scrub-board, which you probably don't know what that is.
We know that. Our family's from Mississippi.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
And the Caribbean.
Okay. All right, another story. We went another time. Yeah, okay. Scrub-boards and hanging out to dry, and then ironing. I'm thinking the iron is where you heat it on the, on the stove or so. But anyway, she did that. So I didn't know the word entrepreneur at the time, or Sispreneur. And I think most people didn't. That's not what we called it. You just did what you had to do. So that's part of my background. But when I left FedEx, I really didn't leave to do anything.
Sorry, Edith, how long were you at FedEx?
I was at FedEx almost 30 years.
Wow.
It was only had two jobs. I worked for Deloitte for 4 years, almost 4 years, and then for FedEx. I've heard of it these days, right?
Yes, and to retire from spend a career, right, sort of in one business.
Well, and I was quite blessed to be able to retire at 50, and I retired to do nothing. And which will be 20 years ago in September. I can't believe it's been that long.
But that's the goal. I mean, honestly, when you come down to it, that's the goal, right? Is to figure out a way to be able to retire as early as possible and start over, and it gives you plenty of time to do more.
Another conversation that I would hope many people would like to hear. But I did retire, and with the goal of doing nothing. I was going to sit at Starbucks and watch everybody else go to work. But my daughter, who was at Rhodes College at the time here in Memphis, started eating at this place called Lenny's, and I said, Mom, and she's always had that entrepreneurial spirit also. We should invest in that. And I had a son who was older, who had gone to FAMU, Fort A&M, and did not want to work for anyone, wanted to be an entrepreneur also. So I kind of fit in, and when I spoke to them, I really wanted to be an investor, but it made more sense to become a franchisee. And when I got into this, I said, okay, it's headquartered here in Memphis. Lenny's is headquartered here in Memphis, Lenny's Subs. I wanted to be the bigger fish as that goes, because there were less than probably 50 stores at the time. So we wanted to own a number of stores, so that at least we'd have a say-so. And had to be consulted.
Franchisee.
But to be consulted when decisions were made. Not that meant we would get what we wanted, but we'd be consulted. So the first store I bought was in Oxford, Mississippi, my hometown, thinking that, I'll be back and forth in Oxford all the time, but I'll stop here. That's how I got into it. But the major reason I even did that is creating a legacy for my family. As Black people, I think in the past we tend to work hard, make whatever money we make, spend that or more. And wealth, in my perspective, is about what do you have left? What assets do you create as a result of that? Not being able to say, I make $100,000, but I spend $100,000. Then we're not helping our future generations to get ahead. We're not creating a nest egg that says, if you want to go to college, and you can't get money, you don't have the money, I have something set aside that will help you go to college. And that's education.
That's one of the things that our father taught us and our mom taught us, is to make sure that we know about generational wealth, know about holding on to money and teaching that to our children. So I just think that's incredibly imperative that people know how to do that, and I thank you for that. So as a mother and breast cancer survivor, what impact do you think that your personal life had on your business?
Well, probably also with the kids. The kids lost their father when they were 9 and 11. And then I had breast cancer. I was diagnosed with breast cancer 2 years later. So I was faced with, my children may have no parent.
Wow.
So are they going to be taken care of? There are the material things to take care of them. Of course, I get made arrangements for other family members if something were to happen to both parents anyway. So I think that breast cancer, having breast cancer, just made me focus more on what's important and drive me back, circling around a family, always back to family. What's important, spending the time being there, teaching your children, leading, setting an example for your children, not only your children, but other youngsters in the family.
And was this while you were at FedEx or after?
I was at FedEx still when I was at FedEx when I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 1994.
And I mean, the medical field was not the same. I mean, so that must have been quite a journey.
Well, it was, but until you have probably any kind of predicament, you don't really know what it's like. So it was what it was. You hear people chemotherapy, losing your hair. I lost all my hair. Lowest hairdo maintenance I ever had on a hairdo. No problem. Get up and go. So, all right. And I still have that hair, as a matter of fact. It was just my bag at home. But,
wow. That is moving.
But just going through the medical process. But the several things that take away, but a couple of them to me is you have to manage your own health. You do not go to a doctor, an oncologist, or a surgeon and sit there and it's a one-way conversation. Because this is what they do. Every situation, in my opinion, for cancer is going to be different, whether it's breast cancer or any other cancer. You need to pray, because ultimately, I think it's divine healing that brings us all through. But I think God still expects you to get involved in this. This is not just my thing. Get involved. Show up.
Have the will to survive, right?
And then share with other people. One of the things I found when I had breast cancer, many women like us who had breast cancer, I didn't even know about it. And when I was diagnosed, I would talk to many people who were 5-year survivors, 2 years. I wanted to talk to the 30-year survivor. So now, I offer up myself. I'm a 30-year survivor, so I am happy to talk to people and say, it is possible. It's not, it's a step that you go through. Everybody's not going to get through it, but manage your own health so that whatever the outcome is, you put forth. Because if you don't do everything you can do, when you find out you should have done something else, it's probably too late. You're probably too far down the road.
Great tips out there. You
mentioned the second thing, too.
Probably the communicating, talking to other people, managing your own health. I would say those were the two. The education part, reading, knowing what it is. And so when you're talking to the doctor, I would also just throw in another one is when you go talk to the doctor, take somebody with you.
Because you're in a daze, right? You're like, I can't believe this is happening, and so somebody else needs to,
Yeah, and encourage you. Maybe ask the questions you don't even know to ask, or you may be afraid to ask. Sometimes as African-American females, I know now, not my mother so much, but there was a time when my mother and aunts, they had a doctor's appointment, and a better deal came up, maybe to go somewhere, do something. I got a doctor's appointment that controlled their whole lives. And, of course, they were white doctors, and I know there was some intimidation there. So I'm saying, no, one, there are all kinds of African-American doctors, female doctors now, and depending, I was thinking the other day, all my doctors are female. and I'm thinking, I don't know if I could go to a guy.
Yeah,
I worked very hard to try and
Yeah, I guess I did too. It's been like that for a while. I had not just even thought about it. But I'm thinking, could I go to a guy? No.
Well, and honestly, a lot of men feel shameful going to a female doctor. My husband will not go to my practitioner. And I'm like, make the appointment. He's like, I'm like, I know why.
But find that comfort level too. If you go to a doctor and you're not comfortable, and he talks down to you, or he or she, hey, change.
Agreed. You're not
Drop the
for
line.
you. You're not for you. I want to get back a little bit to the FedEx journey. Having this historic role at FedEx, and what was the change, I guess? Because you said you retired after FedEx, right? And you were like, I'm going to be a barista. No, I'm going to pour coffee or sit in the cafe and watch people. So what was the change that you felt that you had personally that made you go from, being an early retiree, which is like, right, the dream for everyone, to saying, you know what, like personally, like that you said, you know what, I think I'm going to go after this goal. I'm going to start a whole new enterprise and do it myself.
Well, it's very bad. When I left FedEx in September of 2003, that was not my goal. I didn't have any plans, as I said, other than watch other people go to work, perhaps, and not in a negative way, but that's kind of a little bit of a joke. But I really didn't plan to do anything. And I'm still looking to not do anything, as we all are, because I'm still doing things. So, but it was because the opportunity was presented, and I just wanted to leave something other than just money or something to my kids, something that they could build on themselves or take
You wanted to leave like a
a
life legacy.
Yes,
as well as financial before. Now you're talking about a life legacy.
Yeah, I mean, I had one of the reasons that I was able to retire at FedEx. I'll tell you a little bit about my background. Grew up poor. Kind of knew you were poor, but you didn't know all my other folks were friends and family were poor too.
Like I didn't even know I was poor because of the way you were cared for.
Right. So when I had the opportunity, the company did well, when the company went public, or I had the opportunity to get bonuses, sums, I may have spent $100, but I didn't buy a new car. I didn't buy a new house. Because even now I could say, something could happen and I could be back in Oxford, Mississippi on a scrub board, or doing something. So and also being an accountant, I'm conservative too. So with the spending and my
lady.
And my daughter's always saying, "Oh, Mom, there was something I was going to get a Yeti cup of it," and I said, "I want to wait till the customization is free." And I called her yesterday. They got a deal. It's free. Order this cup
I
for
do
me.
the same thing. So I will find that coupon. I will wait patiently and wait. I'm like, 25% off.
Right. So but there are other people out there who, hey, I'll pay extra to get it here yesterday, and they don't have the wherewithal to do it. And so that allowed me to create, some wealth, also for myself, that will allow me to comfortably say I'm going to retire. And I had the benefit of working at a company that had a old school pension plan, defined benefit pension plan, 401k. So that saving money, not spending everything I got that came to me, allowed me to be in a position to retire early. So I was able to say, I don't want to do anything. And then, I got into this primarily for family. And not just the immediate family. We've created jobs, we've hired people, a lot of other folks in the family, and folks that possibly would not have ever been hired. They couldn't be hired by FedEx because they couldn't pass perhaps a drug test. Now, we don't have people who that would knowingly do that, or they've done something in the past that would not allow them to be hired.
As our own family business, that was one of the things we prided ourselves in. Our father taught us to make sure that we bring people up with us. And so not only were we teaching people and training people, but you also want to give them a career.
Correct.
Oh, right. What was that quote you just heard, Conj? Or you? And they said, don't ever look down on a man unless you're turning around to help them. Or you're reaching down to help them.
Never look down on a man unless you're looking down to lift him up.
That is the best quote ever. We just heard that. At the MMBC Continuum Conference. We just went to that. It was really great.
And I get that. I agree with that. I think one of the other things that we do in our business is hopefully allow people to have a vision. Because a lot of people come to us. They want to work long enough to get a pair of sneakers. And we see it. They get a paycheck, and they don't come back. So, not that it happens often, but sometimes it does. Some people come to us. They don't have anybody in their family to help them create that vision. And I tell them, hey, we want somebody we're not looking for you to stay at Lenny's making sandwiches unless you want to be a manager director of operations, or own your own store. That's what you should strive to, not that you're going to be in this sandwich making business.
So a long-term vision.
That I always say I'm looking to create tax-paying citizens, so my taxes are taken care of them. I mean, not that it's going to be a reduction, but yeah, and that they could pass that on to their family, because we got to stop this continuum that generates the same. I mean, what is the insanity thing, doing the same thing, and we've also got to stop looking at other people to fix it for us.
Yes,
agreed.
And if they do, great. That's gravy, but chances are we gotta take care of ourselves.
We have enough smart people in here to do that.
Today's business tip is sponsored by Udall, connecting merchants with nearby consumers. Kanji here with your business tip. In the words of Janice Bryant Howroyd, the first African-American woman to build and own a billion-dollar company, quote, "The path to success is to take massive, determined actions," end quote. Determined actions refer to deliberate and resolute steps taken towards achieving a specific goal or objective. Edith Kelly-Green's journey echoes this sentiment. Embrace each pivot, each decision with unwavering resolve, knowing that every step forward contributes to the grand tapestry of success. Remember, setbacks are opportunities in disguise. Learn from them, adapt your strategies, and keep pushing forward with resilience as your guiding force.
Well, let's talk about your ability, talking about Firestarter. I do want to point something out, that the two money girls in the room are both wearing green. You can't see them, but it's hilarious. The people who do the numbers are angry. Okay.
I lit up when I saw
Common thing, yeah.
So anyway, okay, so the KGR Group's annual revenues, we mentioned, soared from 500,000 to 7 million under your guidance. What key strategies or principles do you credit with that remarkable growth? I mean, that's not by accident.
Well, you have organic growth, but we also, as I said, we wanted to have more than one location. So that's the addition of locations, and I'll assure you, we've gone up to 13 different locations. And one of the things I'd say we didn't do well is getting attached to them and not letting them go, or when there was a need. And part of that challenge too is owning a highly cash related business and you're not there physically. And of course, with anything more than one or two, you can't physically be there. Mm-hmm. So there's that downside there. But having been at FedEx, the people, service, profit philosophy, there's a ego philosophy, employees, guests, and owners, kind of similar, sounds probably similar, believing in taking care of your employees, because no matter where we are, or what we want, how we want the guests to be taken care of, it's that frontline employee who has to make that happen. And that has become so much more challenging now with texting and all, and people don't have the social skills that they used to now. But if a customer comes in or a guest comes in and says, and texts an order in, then we're great. Yeah. If you don't have to talk to them. And that's, we're going to that's another reason we're going to kiosks and online ordering.
So do you feel like since the pandemic and stuff, people's skills have kind of gone down, or it's something that we're going to have to reteach the children, maybe even, or these kids coming up, like, out of curiosity?
I think even before the pandemic, texting, the socialness has gone down, because I don't talk to people. I don't consider want to talk to people. I can text you. And, I find myself now getting caught up in it sometimes, and then I'm thinking, this is crazy. The phone still works. Right.
Who knew? It's better, FYI. You make decisions faster on the phone. I do find it.
Now, sometimes you want to document, but it's documentation.
So, on that point, I know that you've been a trailblazer in business, and you've also had your hand deeply within the community. And I wanted to know what drives that commitment for you being in the community. The way that
my background, how I grew up, another thing, my grandmother was a maid at the University of Mississippi, and the students there, or the families there, would give her hand-me-downs. And we didn't have anything to give to other people, but they would give her clothes, hand-me-downs. She was kind of like a hub. If we couldn't use them, distribute it to others. And I saw that giving in her, and she had a garden. And and it wasn't just her, but in our community, people shared. You shared. You got if it's time for the corn harvest, you shared in that. You kill a hog. Yes, we killed a hog. We used to have a hog in the backyard, a pig in the backyard.
So do you guys think that it's a Southern thing? Because I mean, as New Yorkers, I know that we don't find as much community.
Well, the migration.
As migration. So what about now? Like, do you find that there's still such a big community and everyone's still helping as much as
I don't find that to be here in a city. I think if you were in Oxford, you would see that much more smaller town than what I see here in Memphis. And remember, I'm a transplant here in Memphis. Mm-hmm. We all are. Yeah. And I tell people this all the time. Memphis is a cliquish town. And from my perspective, where'd you go to high school? You didn't go to the right high school or and so it's different here in Memphis, and because we've all made friends here, but we want a professional. We're not trying to make it day to day. We're not dealing with the things that my grandmother dealt with growing up. Yeah. And we've got different classes of Black people. So
different sets of problems.
Yeah, different sets of problems.
No problems.
Right, yeah.
Say your grandmother had the biggest impact, her modeling on the way.
Yeah, and I didn't know it at the time, but when I look back and say that's how I was brought up to share. And I was an only child, so there's some selfishness there too in sharing. But it's brought up to share what you know, and in my case, to some extent, it's not necessarily just material things. It's probably like we're doing here and you never know when. You never knew when you were sitting on that, doing the newscasting, how many people you were impacting. How many people said, I want to be like her, or looked and said, I've never seen anybody like that. So you never know when you're making a difference in somebody's life. But I tell people all the time, philanthropy is not just, hey, writing a check, or it's your time, it's your knowledge, sharing that. And that could be priceless.
Do you spend a lot of time volunteering?
I do, probably more from the board perspective, more so than, I don't want to count the hours. I'm on the board of Methodist Lavana Hospital, and I'm on several committees and chair a committee and have been for a while. And so I spend the time there, and it's a large organization, but I believe in what we do. And of course, a lot of people at Methodist, particularly Methodist University, look like us. So I guess I do. I'm Hattie Wood Theater on the board there. Mm-hmm. And of course, I'm not an artist type person. I don't know about you.
But you can love art.
But yeah, I love it. And I've come to understand how it complements the whole person, the whole student. And here it gets back to the future there. Children, and we do a lot of things with children, need to know that the actor you see, that's not the only thing you can do in theater. There are so many.
Sets to be filmed. There's makeup to be done.
Lighting. Yes. And I know Akindaya, who's the executive director there. He spends time on that. So yes, you could be an actor, but you could be so many things and good paying jobs where you pay your taxes and all that. Careers, right? Writers, as we know right now. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons I'm involved in that. And I hold this Women's Council for Philanthropy down in Oxford. I was one of the founding members and the founding chair of that in 2000. And that's 4-year scholarships, in which I've endowed 2. One named after my grandmother, who was a maid on campus. And one named after my mother-in-law, who was a cook in one of the, I don't know if it's a sorority or fraternity, one of those houses. My mother-in-law was a great cook. If she was around today, she would be a chef. She could be a chef.
Yeah.
But that was
all those women back then were chefs.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you used to be chefs.
TV shows. Yeah. See Mario.
Well, what about their names? Can you just say their names just so people can hear those names?
Sure. Christine Mitchell Hickenbottom and Marion Kelly Gordon, and there are 2 4-year scholarships down at Ole Miss now. If you want to go to Ole Miss, go to the Women's Council page, or somehow contact me, or contact one of these ladies who can contact me, because the hardest thing I have is finding African American females for those scholarships. The one after my grandmother is for an African American female in accounting, and then the other one is a general scholarship. You don't have to have a specific major. And so
and these are all at Ole Miss.
Yeah, they're all at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
The two are at Ole Miss, and actually I just also endowed a scholarship through Alpha's Educational Advancement Foundation too. But it is for someone in AKA down at Ole Miss.
Well, that's amazing because that's a great segue. Just to have the wherewithal to be able to go in and do things, you do a lot already with your business, but you also make time for all these things. And I wanted to talk about how you navigate economic shifts and introducing these new concepts. Like, so you did Wimpy's Burgers and fries, and it requires this get it done attitude. And I wanted to know that mindset. Was there a pivotal moment where that mindset really had a positive impact on any outcome or on your entrepreneurship, just having that get it done attitude?
Well, gosh, I mean, even now, I'm not twice as old as my partners. Well, my partner's a son. One of the things we try to do is we have brought some other people in as partners. In Wimpy's, my partner is a young white male. Mm-hmm. And just an aside here, somebody said, "Oh, Wimpy's, I go there all the time." But I thought that was owned by the young white guy. I said, "Well, he's a partner. I'm behind the scenes. I'm not active in that, but." I have provided a bit of financial backing and the credit rating to get some of these things done where we needed to get funding, and encouragement, hopefully, to the younger people about getting it done. There's a lot of procrastination that I see that goes on, or reasons, or I called Joe didn't show up, or I called Joe's going to get back with me in a week. That was yesterday. What did you call it? Just that get it done. If there's something that needs to be done, do it. Don't put it off. Don't delegate it to somebody else, or delegate it, but understand that the buck stops with you. I'm in a situation now.
Do you think this is something that's taught, or do you think that's something that's innate, or do you think it's something that you can lead someone to? I think go get it attitude.
I always believed in changing behavior to some extent. Sometimes you have to legislate it, and then people kind of get the idea, or they'll fall into it, or they'll understand it, or last thing they'll do it because I'm the one telling them to do it. But either way, you get it done. But I just find that to be a good skill, good trait to have. Is when it's telling you that. If I tell you I'm going to do it, do it. And if I tell you when I'm going to do it then, or let you know. Just do what you say what you do.
That is great advice. You young people, did you hear that? All you Gen Zers, you get it done. Don't procrastinate.
And another thing is, that makes you stand out because so many people don't do that. And if you do that, I don't know where your boss is, but somebody's going to remember that. They're going to know you from the other person. And I always tell my kids growing up, most people are mediocre. It doesn't take much to stand out.
50% of it is someone told me showing up.
Right. I call them mediocre Mary and mediocre Mike.
I use that.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, here goes mediocre Mary. Because you're just like, it's someone who literally just doesn't care about what they're doing. And we all have heard that if you're sweeping the floor, be the best floor sweeper. And so I believe in that. Even if it's not your thing, it's a step towards getting to who you're going to be. So do it well.
Yeah, most things are steps to get there, because in my career, I didn't have a goal. I didn't know enough to have a goal. I had no business background. I didn't know what an accountant was when I was coming out of high school. So it was just taking the steps that were progressive steps. And
what was laid out to you, like, okay, this looks good.
Here's my boss. Maybe I was his boss. So here's something, the next step, and doing a great job at it. So many people could notice not that I, added 1 and 1 together all the time and got the right number, but more so, what is my character? The get it done part of it is one of those. If you say you're going to do, she's going to get that done. The ability to learn. And then on this mediocre thing, I just tell people one way to stand. Just say yes, ma'am. When somebody came in my office and said yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, which is a lost phrase. It's a lost phrase. Yes. I remember that person because that's how I was brought up, and most people don't do it. I'm thinking, okay, who am I talking to?
And we're offended sometimes. I say ma'am and sir all the time.
I even say it to people younger than me.
Me too.
I do too.
Me too, especially. I tried to do it to black men and women.
I'm sorry, it does make me feel old.
See, I told you, I'm telling you right now.
I'm like, why am I mean?
See, that's what, and I'm like, it's fine.
I am okay with it. I am okay with
Yeah.
it. I'm like, okay, they're very respectful.
I know you're going to edit this down, so I will say this. One of the things Judge Bernice Donald,
Yes.
spoke to some kids at my house. It was a Lynx event. And she said, as a judge, whenever defendants, anybody comes into my office, I always address them as Mr. and Mrs. And I say, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, to them. And that's always stuck in my mind. That's the way I was brought up. You got someone who's possibly an inmate. I don't know if she was ever in criminal, but whatever, some reason they're in that court. Mm-hmm. But that she would always say yes. But no, it's a safe way to go. You can always back down. You can always be corrected. But it just makes you stand out.
It's trouble kids when they say yes, ma'am, to me.
Yeah, but then I get kids who call me by my first name, and they're like 10, 20, 30.
It is a new generation.
Yes,
my kids' friends in New York, they call
everybody calls their first name.
Yeah, I would have to just get used to that.
Yeah.
Oh no, I've changed it to auntie.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm EKG, so that's a neutral.
All right, now you know what to call.
Yeah.
All right, so we're winding down in our last 5 minutes or so. What is your top advice to give Sispreneurs who are facing challenges with personal and professional on how to maintain a fearless Firestarter mindset?
Well, there are a lot of tenets and pieces to it, and I always use the 5 F's for everything, or a few F's for everything. But for example, finances. That's usually going to determine what you can do, how far you can do, and we talked about being good money managers, more or less. So, what are you coming to the table with? If you where are you going to get something at the table? That's not necessarily number one priority, but things to consider. Family is something to consider, because as a Sispreneur, your time is not your time. You are a 24/7 person. If you have kids, you have a partner or a spouse, hey, you that's something, and do they support you? Will they understand? And also on the family side, do you hire family?
Oh.
Keep in mind, to speak of this family here, but do you hire family? Some family is great, particularly in a cash business, if you can trust them or you think they've got the best look out for you. But too many people, including family, think, hey, you sold $1,000 today. She won't miss this $20.
Oh boy!
But they don't understand. How do you get paid? Where's that money? But they think you put $1,000 in your pocket and walk away. They don't think about the rent. They don't think about the payroll.
85% of the food goes out.
Right.
So that 20%, $20 is like 20% profit.
Yeah. So do you trust your family? Do you have a sellable idea? Now, because I make brownies and I think they're great brownies, and somebody can buy my brownies. Just have that tested out. I mean, is this something that there's going to be a need for? Also, under the finances, talk about all the administrative stuff that goes with this. How are you going to get that done? Are you going to hire an accountant? Are you going to hire an attorney? Who's going to do your payroll? Who's going to pay your taxes? All of those things have to be taken care of. And many Sispreneurs, all kind of preneurs, think, I just want to make my brownie. I don't want to be. I don't want to fill out this sales tax form. I don't want to do business. Have to pay the business tax. I don't want to do that annual report. And all of those things add up. Those are administrative costs that add up. So when you put your numbers together, make sure you got all the costs captured. But also know on a monthly basis there's some administrative stuff, and you're gonna have to take your hands out of that dough and do, or you're gonna have to be able to hire somebody else to do it. And when you do that, look at what these people are doing.
So you can learn it and do it yourself.
So you can learn and do it yourself, but also make sure they're doing it right.
Yes.
They're reporting good information, the correct information, and you're not going to because you still go to jail whether you fill out those forms or not, but they got to be filled out.
Yes.
And if you're a restaurant, are you going to go to the Shelby County Health Department and get that food permit once a year? In June. Right. I personally go over there because I never get it in the mail, so I personally go over there.
And don't forget, you got to pay that IRS.
Yes.
That you're going to pay because they will come for you.
Whether you know or not.
But the other side of that, that, the more, I mean, people say, I hate paying these taxes. And I always say, hey, the only reason you're paying taxes is because you're making money. And that's a blessing. So you got to look at the other side, because you're going to pay the taxes whether you like it or not.
Yep.
You don't have to like it, but you may as well be okay with it. Because it's
not
going to happen.
going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere. And, you know, I again say it's a blessing if you have to pay taxes, because that means you made some money somewhere.
Absolutely.
Compared to people who, you know, who have no income, have no jobs, can't work, may perhaps even because they're not physically able to do it. So
Preach.
there's always a other side, or at least three sides to every story.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's important to look at that. So, you know, how can people find your businesses? And start that over. Of course. You know, how can people find your businesses and follow you or follow your businesses?
Well, there's Lenny's.com,
Okay.
the website, and there's a Wimpy's, I know Facebook page. Yeah, there's a Wimpy's Facebook page, yeah.
Great. All right. So Lenny's.com and Wimpy's. And just so you know, I used to love Wimpy. I was from Popeye.
Yeah, from Popeyes, yeah.
Exactly.
Remember when you could probably get a hamburger today?
I'll pay you Tuesday.
For a hamburger today.
My kids were like, what on earth are you talking about? Because I was talking to them about Wimpy. But
Well, Wimpy's is not as well known, but that is a great burger, and that's how we got into burgers.
really
It's a
love
great burger. Yeah.
Okay, how many
Well,
Wimpy's are there in the Memphis area? Because that's where we're going when this is over.
There's three.
and just so you know, when it's time to get sandwiches, we always get Lenny's. Conji's like, my friend, she owns the Lenny's. We have to get Lenny's.
Well, I appreciate
Wait, and
that.
the other side, she's like, in Conji knows which one's to order.
She has a favorite one.
They know me now. Like, they'll be like, oh, it's her.
At least for the people, except for the turnover, we got a new manager at Cooper now.
Oh,
so, yeah,
okay.
Jessica.
That's my
Is that Lady Doris's favorite?
That's the Spizzy.
Oh, yeah.
You're Snoop. It's just not just the spot. It's the Spizzy. So we're ahead. This is the fun part. This is the lightning round.
Oh, okay.
So we've got 3 fun one-answer questions to lighten up the mood in here. So, if you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be?
It's okay.
It's you know, of course,
It could be Harriet Tubman.
Ooh, that was good. Okay, now I have to know why.
I know it. I was going to ask. Now I need to know why.
Yeah, it's supposed to be one answer, but I gotta know.
We got
but you can get it that way. And you know, of course, we read about it, but the movie visualizes it, even though it may not. The movies generally aren't as accurate. It is just. That is just a strong woman, and focused and dedicated. Why would you commit your life to this? Once you got out, you could have taken the easy way.
You know what she did? She had that go-get-it attitude and said, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah. So, just, what were you thinking?
Yeah,
and thank you for thinking it. Huh?
Yeah.
That makes sense. Wait, you're like, and stick to it.
bringing people at gunpoint sometimes saying, get your butt over here. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Okay, ready for the next one? Sure. What's your favorite guilty pleasure food that you indulge in?
Chocolate M&M. M&M peanuts.
Me only. Wait. Oh my gosh.
M&M peanuts, and I could just eat them. Did you do leadership Memphis?
No.
Oh, surprised. But anyway, we had to do a talent. My talent was catching M&M peanuts in my mouth.
That's hilarious.
That was back in 1987.
Do you eat them whole or do you take the outsides off and then eat the peanuts? That's what I do.
I do variations.
Variations.
Oh my God.
Sometimes I can't just wait. I just have to go, put it in my mouth and go for it.
You I'm like,
yeah. Yeah, and I've done that. And then sometimes I suck the outside out and just let it melt in my mouth.
yeah, as they're supposed to be eaten.
Wow, this is a debate, guys.
Okay, last one. So, if you could teleport yourself anywhere in the world, where would it be for a weekend? You should see your face.
Oh, I put the time
Weekend getaway. Where are you going?
Yeah.
They go,
You know, Maldives. Maldives. Now, I've never been there, but I have an old friend who just been there, and she just talked about how great it was.
The water.
I would have probably not put it on my list except for the last 2 or 3 weeks.
So now we know where she'll be next summer.
or any gifts we want to give, even if we know that it will be an overwater, Maldives.
So, as we come to close this electrifying episode of Sispreneur Stories, we've been truly inspired by the remarkable journey of our guest, Edith Kelly-Green. Thank you so much, Edith.
Thank you, Edith.
Thank you. I've enjoyed this probably more so than three of you put together.
We hope Edith's journey has ignited a spark of empowerment within you, encouraging you to embrace your dreams and take bold, decisive action. Remember, each step you take can shape your own path to success and create positive change. Thank you for joining us on Sispreneur Stories, where we celebrate the strength of women in business while nurturing our households. Until next time, stay fearless and keep igniting your own entrepreneurial fire. This is Kanji,
Aurora,
And Janita,
signing off.
This is Ernest Strickland, President of the Black Business Association, proud to be your title sponsor on this empowering journey with Sispreneur Stories.